Electric Soup Kitchen.
Sound is astonishing because it sounds in space. Where does it come from and where does it go? Time and illusion. Sound not related to the time it seems to take. I hear stars continuously playing their cosmic symphony, and great spaceships adding their drone around Placentia, planet of plenty. I am Michael. My words go forth to fulfill the things for which they are sent, and do not return to me void. Sound of spheres sing, of light calling us forth to affirm the truth, and to act in its eternal celebration. The sounding word can create joy for all of us, and the words of reaction playing back cause people to excel onward towards the light, to comprehend it. Sound is shaped into music. I have run the cycle of it all and have returned to sound. Sound that sounds a warning, yet delivers. Can you make a sound? Try to make a sound that can go round the planet and from planet to planet, calling forth those who travel on instant, weightless, timeless light beams of sound.
Hello,
Richard.
Marcus.
Good morning.
Very good morning.
It's 10 o'clock in London, England.
It's 5 a.m. in darkest, deepest Scotland, USA.
So it's the first podcast of 2008. And is it a fresh new format? Is it all exciting? Have we got tons of new stuff, or is it just the same old crap? That song we started with was by a guy called Alan Michael, who was a contactee in 1947. And then he set up a commune in the 60s in San Francisco. The One World Family Commune, and it was like a sort of commune with a bit of UFO and New Age Space Age philosophy thrown in. And they recorded an album, and that was a song from their album called Sound. And the album was called Quasar, and we'll play another track at the end. So what have we got coming up, Richard? We have got your searing insight into the American presidential elections.
Yeah, I've been interviewing them all, and do a series of interviews as the race progresses.
Now, you can't vote, can you?
No.
Oh, right, okay.
No.
If you could vote, who would you vote for?
Here's a tricky one. Probably Barack Obama, I think.
Right. I think, and it's people just like the farthest you can get away from George Bush, the better, isn't it? He seems to be getting just picking up a load of support just because he's as far away as you can get.
Yeah, it does seem to go that sort of way. I mean, none of the Republicans seem to impress me that much. They seem to follow too much of our sort of conservatives.
Yeah. Well, we've got David Cameron at the moment, who's trying to convince us that he's down with the people and listens to Girls Aloud and Scissor Sisters and rides his bike everywhere. But I'm not fooled. But anyway, we have got coming up, Oliver's going to review Guitar Hero 3 and Halo 3.
Oh, cool.
Have you played Halo? I've never played it.
No, I don't really play the Xbox stuff.
No. But a lot of people rave about Halo, don't they?
Yeah, that was the big one that came out. That and Crysis.
Yeah, they're just like first-person shooters, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then Barry is going to review Things to Come. So the British science fiction film H.G. Wells, Shape of Things to Come. Have you read that?
No, is that a new one? Oh, no, not the book, but I mean the film.
No, it's everything that he talks about is in the public domain, so people can go and.
Ah, right, I was going to say, yeah, I think I've seen. Is that the Shape of Things to Come, or I think of someone else?
The book is called The Shape of Things to Come. The film is
Yeah.
called Things to Come.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, anyone can download it. He's going to review it. You can get it. It's definitely on the Internet Archive, but there's a few sort of sites that do that. And that's it. All the usual stuff. I might try and squeeze a bit of Unky Dunky in. We've been threatening to do that for a while. Next month we will definitely do, what do you call it, like a conference call. I'll try and get Barry and Oliver and me and you at some point. We'll definitely try and do that.
Yeah, sure, we could do it at the weekend or something.
Yeah, that's got to be something. I think I found a way for us to do it, actually, because somebody from another podcast emailed me saying, do you want to take place in this discussion? But you all have to phone in on a landline, but I think he must have a way of recording it, so I'm going to find out about that, and that'll be next month.
Not really a story here, but a connection with some of our past stories. I remember our mystery tube defecator.
The Phantom Crapper.
Yeah. It seems he has international competition. Norway's just caught their shit terrorist.
Is that what they actually call him, the shit terrorist?
Yeah.
All right, okay. That's not what you're calling him.
No, that's what the paper's called.
All right, go on. Because I mean, that's got two meanings. You could be a shit terrorist, just not very good at blowing things up, or I take it he's terrorizing people with shit.
Yeah, he would go around and throw crap through their car windows of a summer's evening. But his speciality was he would freeze it first.
Uh-huh.
So by the morning it would all melted and a mess everywhere. And he's done this to hundreds of cars over the past few years. And the police were around at his house on another matter and investigated his freezer where they found all these ice cubes of crap.
Yeah.
Put two and two together.
That's a giveaway. He couldn't say there was stock cubes or anything. So he's freezing them to make them easier to throw or something?
Yeah, but then he just something like left the car window open a little bit on a warm day. He come round that night and pop them through the gap, and in the morning it's all melted.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. People attacking other people with their own feces. A friend of ours has been telling me recently. He works at a university. He's been telling me recently that there's somebody attacking the toilets there, and they're crapping in the urinals or just on the floor and smearing it around. But they're going for like high-profile toilets, ones that only have staff keys.
Well, that's actually a very enabling thing for somebody who feels very powerless.
Isn't it a sort of thing to do? Well, yeah. What you mean? If you just feel powerless in general, then you do that, and you feel like
yeah. But the person who's doing it is probably like say got some sort of grudge, real or imagined, and they've probably tried some sort of.
They've tried talking about it. They've tried discussing their feelings, and then they've thought, "I'll have a crap on the floor."
Well, no, kind of, but they've probably tried. The typical thing is to write a letter.
Yeah. And then crap on it.
Probably anonymously complaining about this, but nothing's still been done, and the frustration.
Yeah.
Have not been able, but this gives them power. It's like people who piss in coffee pots. It's a typical reaction.
It's a typical reaction.
No, to their powerlessness and their frustration of the situation.
And it's
this gives them some control over it.
And it's almost like sort of being right back to chimps throwing it around, isn't it?
It could be that as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, kids do it. Kids do it when they're potty trained as well. It can be a bit of a power thing to like wet yourself even when they know that they shouldn't.
Yeah.
If they're really, really upset, it's another way of expressing how upset they are, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I'm sure there are lots of deep-rooted psychological reasons why people do that. But, Richard, they are still filthy bastards.
And if you're frustrated by that comment, you can send all the turds to Marcus.
Come round and put them through my letterbox.
Truth is stranger than fiction. And this is the proof. This is Ripley's Believe It or Not.
In 1798, Sultan Selim III of Turkey, in the presence of British Ambassador Sir Robert Ainslie, shot an arrow the incredible distance of 2,916 feet. Believe it or not. In a moment, I'll tell you the story of a remarkable woman. Lucy Page of Tamworth, New Hampshire, certainly exploded the theory that women are the weaker sex. In addition to doing all of her regular housework, she cared for 2 cows, made all the clothing for her family, spun 200 skeins of wool yarn and 45 skeins of linen yarn, wove 90 yards of carpeting, made 69 yards of flannel and 21 yards of toweling. And she did all of this at the age of 73, believe it or not.
Right, do you want a news roundup of 2007, seeing as it's the new year?
Sure.
There was a Greek nunnery turned into a marijuana farm by 2 men posing as gardeners. I'm going to go through these quickly because there's so many of them.
Actually, on that one,
go on.
sorry, that's because there's a guy here just busted a Chinese guy. The police came round to this house, and in the garden was again a greenhouse just full of marijuana. And the guy said, he was innocent. He'd just been hired to grow the stuff. He didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
There was just an immigrant who'd come over here to work, got him some guys who stole his money, applied for this job. And he said he didn't even really own the house or anything. This other guy used to just turn up occasionally, give him seeds and stuff.
Could be true.
Gardening stuff.
Yeah.
And, they believed him,
Yeah.
but they still charged him with growing it. But he wasn't charged with, possessing it to distribute or anything.
Well, the first house I lived in London, there was a huge bush just growing in the back of somebody's garden that was in plain view of probably like 30 terraced houses that looked out into the back garden. It was huge. There was somebody just growing it in their back garden. Anyway, quickly go through and more highlights of 2007. A Moscow woman set fire to her ex-husband's penis as he sat naked watching television and drinking vodka. The couple divorced 3 years ago but continued to share a small flat. I was burning like a torch, the wounded ex-husband told Tivon Den newspaper. I don't know what I did to deserve this. In another unusual living arrangement, a German man left his dead mother seated in her favourite armchair in their shared home for 2 years after her death from natural causes. That happens all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah. Dying of natural causes.
Yeah. No, people being found in houses, sat in chairs, or people keeping people. There's always stories popping up of bodies sat in chairs. Another thing happened in 2007 in the German town of Kaiserslautern. Police broke into a darkened flat expecting to find a corpse after neighbours complained of a nasty smell, but instead they found a tenant with very smelly feet asleep in bed next to a pile of extremely foul-smelling laundry. There were sadly many deaths in 2007 that were hardly noticed. I'm reading this aloud from Reuters just to be fair, so I say that it's not me making this up. There were sadly many deaths in 2007 that were hardly noticed, such as in Zagreb, where a Croatian man boarded a night tram and died in his seat and rode through the city for more than 6 hours until he discovered he was dead. Unusual diets made the headlines, such as no more crispy duck at Beijing toilets. Food stalls attached to Beijing public toilets were banned ahead of the Olympics after complaints over poor sanitation. Also in China, 66-year-old Zhang Musheng said 40 years of swallowing live tree frogs and rats helped him avoid intestinal pain and made him strong. There is a kind of strength to be able to swallow a live tree frog and rat. I'm not sure it's good for you, though. Criminals filed odd newspaper headlines around the world. In the United States, 2 Colorado men were accused of plotting to kill a man with rattlesnakes in a dispute over a £60,000 poker debt. It's a story out of the Wild West. the poker rattlesnakes and unsavory characters. You've got a bunch of snakes becoming involved with a bunch of snakes, said Lance Clem of the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. Nice one, Lance. In Sarajevo, 2 armed men disguised as Muslim women in burqas held up a bank and escaped with $40,000. One of the terrorists on 7 of the attacks escaped in a burqa as well down here. When you think about it, it's the ultimate disguise at the moment, a burqa, because it's such a sensitive issue. Nobody's ever going to question it, is there?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's wasn't that one of the reasons that they wanted it banned in schools over in England?
What, people were sneaking into schools?
Yeah, but didn't you just have a whole big thing in England recently? Because like people saying, didn't you feel like a teacher that wore burqa that could never be challenged on ID? Then anyone could just come in,
well,
claiming to be her or whatever.
Yeah, you'd have to claim to be that teacher, wouldn't you? You couldn't just, not anybody just couldn't come in a burqa and say, I'm teaching geography today.
No, but it's more and more teachers, from the different communities came in.
It is, at the moment, it's the ultimate disguise, because it's such a sensitive issue that you could just walk around with it all day long if you fancied. A Zimbabwe man stole a bus because he needed transport to get his driving licence. A German bus driver threw a 20-year-old off because he said she was too sexy for his bus. He opened the door and shouted, "Your cleavage is distracting me. Every time I look into my mirror, I can't concentrate on the traffic." In La Paz, the winner of a Bolivian beauty contest was stripped of her title moments after the coronation when judges noticed that she was wearing false hair plaits. That seems a bit mean. How many people wear false nails and are covered in makeup in beauty contests, but can't have false hair?
Yeah, it's a little strange.
A 60-year-old German man stunned lawyers during his appeal hearing on a flashing conviction by stripping off in court. That's not going to help his appeal, is it, against the conviction? A 76-year-old Malay Muslim woman from southern Thailand got on the wrong bus 25 years ago and got lost, ending up living as a beggar at the other end of her country. But in 2007, she was reunited with her family. 25 years she's been lost from getting on the wrong bus. A Polish man got the shock of his life when he visited a brothel and spotted his wife among the establishment's employees. Polish tabloid Super Express said the woman had been making some extra money on the side while telling her husband she worked in a store at a nearby town. "I was dumbfounded. I thought I was dreaming," the husband told the newspaper. I like how this is all from his shock at finding his wife in a brothel, not her shock at him walking into the brothel. I was just totally shocked. And then finally there was a story in New York that you might have heard of about 2 men who wheeled the corpse of their friend into a bank to try and cash his social security check. They were trying to pass him off as still being alive, police spokesman Paul Brown said. It's only when they left the corpse on the sidewalks, I think they had him in a wheelchair.
I heard it was an office chair. They're just the old chair with casters on the bottom.
That's right.
Pushing him through New York.
That's right. It was an office chair. It says, yeah. And they left him on the sidewalk while they attempted to cash the check. The 2 men promised, but the clerk knew the dead guy, and asked to see him. 2 men promised to bring him right back, but when they went outside, a crowd had gathered, and an off-duty policeman spotted him. And finally, here's a little fact that came up in 2007. Men in England and Wales are twice as likely to die as a result of having a foreign object in their anus as they are from being struck by lightning.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, I think by foreign object, that's not like some souvenir from holiday, like a glowing a Spanish donkey or a glow-in-the-dark Eiffel Tower. It just means like, something that shouldn't be there, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, anything that shouldn't be there.
Computer game reviews.
Oliver, 2008.
Mm-hmm.
What was your Christmas like?
Not bad.
What did you get? Everything you wanted?
Halo 3 and Guitar Hero 3.
Go on then.
Which will I start with?
It's up to you.
Alright, I'll start with Halo. Um, Hula's about like this guy called the Master Chief, and
Wait a minute, let me butt in. Is this the first Halo you've played? Because there've been 2 other games, haven't
I downloaded the first full game on Xbox Live,
there? Right.
and now I've got the third one.
All right, go on.
So I sort of know the story.
Right.
I think like these aliens called the Covenants are trying to use these rings. These are rings in space,
Mm-hmm.
but on the inner side of the ring, it's all like land and oceans and stuff. And so the Covenants are trying to get the rings and use them to rule the universe. And
But
like,
but Halo is like Halo's like a sort of first-person shooter, isn't it? It's like you're wandering around. It's all your point of view and stuff.
yeah.
So what's so good about it? Why does everybody go on about Halo?
Well, it is quite a good game. I think the best point of Halo 3 is probably online. It's best online game I've been on. I've probably been online more than the main quest game.
And that's when you're playing with against other people or in teams or what?
Yeah, you can play everyone for himself and like just attack everyone, or you can play in teams, and they've got certain team games like the Slayer, which is where you just kill people. Team capture the flag, where you capture the other team's flag and stuff, and you go around in all different maps and stuff.
So you like it?
Yeah.
All right. How many thumbs up does that get?
9.
9 thumbs up. And the other game is what? Guitar Hero 3.
Yeah.
Now, you play that with like a pretend guitar. Have you got one of them?
Yeah.
And what?
Yeah.
Go on.
No, you go.
Well, what do? You just pretend to play the guitar?
Well, you can either buy the game, just the game, and when you play it, you use the Xbox 360 controller and use like the trigger buttons to press the chord things.
Yeah.
That's really rubbish. I bought the one that comes with the guitar, and on the guitar, on the neck, it's got green, red, yellow, blue, and orange button, and then when you're actually playing, you choose a song, it comes on, like the neck of a guitar comes on, and it sort of moves down. And as it comes down, these notes are like, there'll be a green button, whatever, so you press the green button when it gets into the circle.
But
and
what's
same for like red and stuff.
But what's the point? Are you playing against people, or you just try to get faster, or what?
You sort of, there's a career thing to it, which is where you're trying to become like a really good band. You can do co-op career, which is where you play with like your mate or something, and you can play online with it. And I've tried that, but when you go online, there's always people that do it on expert mode, so it makes you feel really rubbish. Because I can only do it on medium.
I can't get my head around it. I don't really understand. So if they're an expert, are they just pressing the buttons really quick?
Yeah, I don't understand how they do it.
All right then. You're off skiing at the weekend, aren't you?
Yeah.
For how long?
Well, it's a 20-hour bus ride, so we'll be there Sunday dinner time.
Yeah.
Then not too sure when we come home. I think I'll be home on the Sunday, next Sunday.
All right. Well, enjoy that, and I'll talk to you next month.
Right.
All right. Bye.
So,
How much is the writer's strike affecting what you watch, or is it just the same?
It's affected some things in that, obviously, like a lot of the late night talk shows went off for a while,
Yeah.
and partly because the writers weren't writing anything, and partly because guests didn't want to cross picket lines to appear on anything. That seemed to last for like a couple of weeks, and then David Letterman, who has his own production company,
Yeah.
basically made a deal with the union and agreed to their terms and stuff, so that he could get his writers back on. So he was back on, and the night that he popped back on, a lot of the others sort of popped back on, but without writing.
Anyway, have you seen any films? Have you seen anything like that?
I was just thinking what I've seen. Juno.
Is that good? I mean, again, I've heard a lot about that, but
Yeah, I really liked it. I was quite surprised at it.
is it a comedy?
Yeah, a comedy about a 16-year-old girl who discovers she's pregnant and deciding what to do with it, and then she decides to keep it for adoption. I mean, at one point you could sort of say, it's a bit of a romantic view of having the child and giving it up.
Yeah.
But as a comedy, it's actually quite good, quite dark in places. Very funny.
What about Cloverfield? Has that got a bit of a buzz over there? You know, the handheld giant monster thing?
It did for a bit. Like, there's a lot of internet hype over here.
Looks good though, doesn't it?
I don't know. I was a bit disappointed when I found out that.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. What do you mean you found out? Don't tell me something I don't know.
No, just when I found out it was a monster. It's a monster rampaging through New York film.
What, you were disappointed by that? What the hell's wrong with you?
Well, no. From all the hype, it was making it out to be something completely different.
Yeah, but a giant monster film shot from like somebody on the ground's point of view. Like, you know, when you see a giant monster film, you see them smashing through buildings. Well, this is the story of the person who sat in that office as the monster smashes the building up. I think that's a brilliant idea.
Well, I'll have to see what it's like. I've heard a lot of people complain about how shaky the camera work is.
All right.
Just how shaky the camera work is.
All right.
And that left him actually feeling more queasy rather than the actual the film.
Yeah,
especially when you've seen it on a full cinema screen.
The sound mix is meant to be amazing if you see it at the cinema. Well, I think you should see it at the cinema. But the sound mix, yeah. Well, you know, George Romero shot a zombie film like that.
They did?
Yeah, it's out. It's coming out. It's not out yet. It's coming out. It's called Diary of the Dead.
All right. Well, like the English one?
No, that was the Zombie Diaries, wasn't it?
Right. Okay, yeah.
By all accounts, that's terrible. But yeah, he shot this, and it sort of takes place at the start of a zombie outbreak, like Night of the Living Dead, and some students are in the woods filming a mummy horror film. And the zombie outbreak starts, so they start documenting it all. So it's all shot like that. I read the script of it. The script was good. It seems better than Land of the Dead, which I didn't like. So, but it's had mixed reviews. But yeah, it's all shot. You know, sort of. They find different cameras. The opening is like a news report, and then you go to the students' cameras, and then I think he finds a different camera, and so they upgrade and swip. At one point, two of them have got cameras, so there is sort of a bit of cutting like that.
Yeah.
But the script I read, I'm looking forward to it. I think in Cloverfield is like that. There's stuff on camera phones and there's stuff on different formats. So I'm excited about that. What else have I seen? I want to see There Will Be Blood. You know, the Daniel Day-Lewis film, Paul Thomas Anderson?
Yeah? What's that one?
It's a drama about like an oil prospector, I think, like, I don't know, 100 years ago in America, but he's basically an oil prospector, and he comes to this town and he finds oil and the effect it has. But I think it's very dark, and I think Daniel Day-Lewis plays this incredibly dark sort of. He's basically he's almost like evil. I read one thing online that he's meant to be playing the devil, but I don't think there's nothing supernatural in it. It's just this like oil prospector taking over a town, and he's just got this very cold personality. But it's meant to be good, and the opening 20 minutes is all silent. It's just him digging in this mine, and it's getting great reviews. So I really want to see that.
That does sound interesting.
But it's a big year, isn't it? 2008. There's lots of stuff like Iron Man, and I'm trying to think what else. There's lots of sort of big geeky films coming out.
Oh, what, new Bond?
That won't be out this year,
Yeah.
though, will it?
I don't know, it's just going into production, hasn't it? So, might be out Christmas.
What's it called? A Quantum of Solace.
Yeah.
What do you think to that?
I don't know, I'd not heard of it, because they said it's a Ian Fleming title.
Yeah.
I don't remember it from any of the books.
But the only thing I don't understand about that is how come Judi Dench is still M if it's all back to his roots?
Yeah, but they probably couldn't dig up the old guy, and she's probably still on a contract and insisting on being in it, and you know what she's like.
Barry's B-movie reviews.
Hi, Marcus.
Barry, hello.
How the devil are you?
I'm not too bad, how are you?
Not bad. Not bad at all. Enjoying the new year.
Enjoying the new year?
Yeah.
What have you got to be so cheerful about?
You know, got toothache, got children who won't sleep. You know, got too much work to do. That's how I like my year to begin.
Yeah, we can only get better.
Uphill all the way.
Well, it's better to start like that, and then it can only get better. Because if it starts great, then it's just gonna lead to disappointment, isn't it?
You're just worrying that November, December's going to be shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or that it's all gonna start again.
Kind of Groundhog Day. Yeah, it happens to me every year. I have a new year. The year starts.
Yeah. And it's shit.
And it's shit.
Barry's B movies didn't happen on Christmas Eve. Now, what people don't know is that we tried very hard, didn't we?
The technology was against us.
The technology was against us. You were out in a car driving around the streets of Sheffield trying to get to your babies to sleep at like 9 o'clock on Christmas Eve.
It was later. It was nearly 10 o'clock. We were looking for room for room at the inn.
But you just had to drive around.
Yeah. You know. Yeah, we were cruising. Me and Lola were cruising.
Yeah.
Looking for some honey to pick up.
So go on.
Pardon?
Go on, carry on.
And yeah, and it wasn't quite working. I think I managed to sort of travel along a route with the worst reception from a mobile phone ever. I had brought my headset out and everything so I could talk to you. It's
a shame because it would have been good to have had it live on Christmas Eve as you drove around, and you were driving around till 1 a.m, so we could have gone live into Christmas Day, but
we could.
But it didn't happen.
Like we can do one on New Year's next year. I can stand near the London Eye or something as it explodes.
Yeah, is that a terrorist threat?
Yeah.
Did some guy in Morrison's, when you gave him his change, say, "Don't go to the London Eye next year; it's going to explode"?
Yeah. Tip of the wink. Don't do that.
Yeah. Because excuse me, you've left your wallet. Oh, I've left my wallet. Oh, thank you. Hey, one good turn deserves another. Don't go to the London Eye next year. I'm going to blow it up.
Oh, it's going to blow up while I'm there.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Don't lay the blame on me.
What film are you doing?
I'm doing Things to Come.
Now, you must have watched this about 2 months ago.
Yeah, it will have been now, but don't worry, I make notes.
All right, go on then.
All right. It's I don't know when it was made. I should have IMDb'd it, but it is based. I'd heard of the book, the H.G. Wells book, before.
Yeah, that's called The Shape of Things to Come, isn't it?
The Shape of Things to Come, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's and it was kind of touched on in there was a great series that BBC4 did about British sci-fi, and they might repeat it on BBC Two, and it's worth, if you're in the UK, watching it.
Yeah, I saw some of that.
Three-part series. It was fascinating. Mm. Mainly especially for the observation that British sci-fi did tend to concentrate on stuff, the end of the world, everyone being wiped out, and only a couple of English people surviving.
Yeah.
And it's slightly depressing, whereas the American sci-fi from the period was all quite exultant and jubilant, and let's go find, new worlds to colonize. And all the English sci-fi was like, it's shit.
Well, no,
we're all going to die.
American sci-fi was very paranoid as well in the 50s.
Yeah.
It was all about them getting invaded, or, the aliens were the invaders and communism. But yeah, British sci-fi in the 50s was very... it was usually things that were cleverer than us that were scaring people in the 50s is my understanding of it. But so carry on. So things to come.
This film, I'm assuming actually it's it's probably made in the. It starts off with. It starts in 1940 with the threat of war, and I'm assuming it was made pre-1940 because Arthur Askey's in it. You know,
right.
the musical great.
Yeah.
And Alex Corder, who produced Thief of Baghdad and stuff like that, is the producer on it. So real sort of amazing sort of pedigree, and it's very sort of prescient setup where 1940, you know, the World War starts, not 1939 as it did.
Wow, they weren't far off.
They
weren't far off.
They weren't far off at all, and it concentrates on two characters. One of them's an engineer. I think one of them's a doctor. One of these people we're introduced to at the beginning becomes an airman. Becomes a pilot. He's flying around. He shoots down a foreign with one of the bad guys, and then lands beside him in his airplane and offers him his gas mask. While this sort of gas comes along and wipes out everything. They use this gas during this World War, which ended up, I think, infecting everyone with this thing called the wandering sickness. You basically jump forward. The war goes from 1940 through to 1966,
right?
When everything's kind of, society's collapsed. The wandering sickness. The majority of people are like these kind of zombies who sort of wander around. Shambolically, a bit like the Vincent Price I Am Legend film that we reviewed, but they all come out in daytime, and it concentrates on a little place called Everytown, where a small sort of band of sort of partisans, they've got weapons and stuff, and they manage to set themselves at this little sort of enclave. So the film kind of really, after this kind of sort of montage of sort of building up to, we end up in 1970, where the people in the town are still at war with the hill people. A stranger lands just outside the town in a new flying machine, and this is John Cabal, who's one of the characters we met at the very, very beginning, who shot down the foreign airman, and he's leading what's known as what he refers to as a technocracy. The people in the village, the people in every town rather, are very sort of primitive, and they're all sort of trying to knock things together. And there's a guy there who's trying to. There's one of the other main characters who's trying to make their planes work, and he can't because he's not got the engineering skill, and he's not got the bits. And so part of he's trying to seek out all these new bits, and of course this plane turns up with his old mentor John Cabal, who says he's in a technocracy called Wings Over the World, and it's very sort of Flash Gordon sort of territory where he's trying to promote peace, but the people in every town are still the guy who runs every town is still very violent, wants to shoot everyone and wants to kidnap him and kidnap his technology, and the technocracy where John Cabal's been living had a gas called the peace gas, which they're going to drop on everyone, and bring peace to the world. What's quite funny is these guys fly these advanced guys with the advanced technology fly around in what looks like stealth bombers. Really look like they look like propeller driven stealth bombers. It's quite surreal. It's kind of like how advanced it all looks. So they managed to overthrow. John Cabal manages to get help with his friends, and they overthrow this gung-ho chief who runs every town. And we kind of flip forward to 2036, where there's a new version of every town. There's another montage. Everything gets better, and everything looks a bit more sort of traditional, sort of early century sci-fi, where it's all white and gleaming. And then the problem is that the people in 2036 now want to rebel against their leaders, who is John Cabal and this other engineer, because of this thing called a space gun. They don't want so much progress. They're worried about it. And two people, John Cabal's daughter and this other guy's son, are going to be sent off into space in the space gun. They're saying this is too much, And so they raise a kind of village, pitchforks and axes to go and smash this space gun. But the leaders who are being threatened by this cabal, by these people, by the rebels, they're kind of very much into free speech, and it's a very sort of egalitarian society. So they won't sort of quell the uprising. But the two children do get into the spaceship and blast off to the stars.
Don't spoil the ending. Is that the ending?
Yeah, sorry.
I'll chop that
It's
out.
okay. It's not the kind of film. It's a really it's a great film to watch because it's not a traditional kind of linear narrative. It's a real sort of well thought out, it's slightly cheesy sort of version of the future, and kind of like this is the and showing the parallels and stuff like that between there's always going to be these cycles of rebellion and people trying to lead the way, and it's very much kind of the world will be a better place if we listen to the technocrats, if the engineers and people of this world are allowed to make things better.
Well, I've got it. I've downloaded it, but I haven't watched it. But that sounds good.
It's really worth. Once again, it's worth unlike Oasis of the Zombies, it is worth a watch. It's almost got kind of, it's almost like wandering into a museum. It's one of those great things where you can kind of watching 1970s versions of Tomorrow's World and kind of going, this will happen in the future, and it's kind of like, no, we still haven't got jetpacks yet. But
Michael Jackson had a jetpack.
He did have a jetpack, didn't he?
Yeah.
And but he's mad and incredibly wealthy.
I
I
don't think you have to be mad to have a jetpack.
But it helps.
That's
you would have to be mad because I bet it uses a lot of fuel.
Well, is that mad using a lot of fuel?
It's either that or a Hummer, isn't it? You can kind of go, it could be like, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Do you want a Hummer or do you want a jetpack? I need a Hummer. I need to take my children to school. And not only do you get film reviews, you get
impressions.
Yes, it's like, this is me.
Listen.
Do you want me to prepare some impressions for next time?
No. Listen. If that sounds interesting to people, it's in the public domain. You can download it legally. I know the Internet Archive has it for sure. Other sites will have it, but things to come. It sounds good. I've downloaded it a long time ago and never got around to watching it. So thank you very much for your insight, eloquent insight.
You can tell us about the Will Smith version of I Am Legend.
I'll tell you very quickly that they blew it at the end. So
we knew that. We said they were going to do that.
They totally did. But right up until that point, you think it seems like the script has been written with the original ending, and then it just sort of, he dies a hero saving the human race, and that's why he's a legend, as opposed to the vampires are scared of him and he's a monster. He's a legend as a monster amongst the vampires. So it was sort of, I don't know. If you'd never seen the original or read the book, you'd probably quite enjoy it. But that ending would have been so great if you to see Will Smith die as a monster, or die because he's seen as a monster by the people who we think are the monsters. That would have been such a great ending, but they didn't do it, and it wasn't even clear that he was the last man on Earth. The woman gets off Manhattan, and then there's like an army base somewhere in the hills. So I don't know. Barry, I will talk to you next month. Have you got any idea what you might do, or should we decide that between now and next month?
We'll decide that between now and next month.
All right then. We mentioned the Street Fighter, Sonny Chiba, and we never got round to it. And I'll be seeing you soon, so maybe we'll do that, and I'll bring you the DVD. Yeah. All right then.
I've never seen any Sonny Chiba stuff.
Oh, he's a badass. He is a badass. He rips a man's balls off in one scene. That's what of a badass he is.
And that was his friend.
All right then. I'll talk to you next month.
Good night. Bye.
All right. Do you want to hear just before Christmas, 7 medical myths were exposed in a paper in the British Medical Journal. Do you want to hear what they are?
What are they?
Well, first of all, the first one, there's no need to drink 8 glasses of water a day. They found no scientific basis for the claim.
Oh, wow.
I sort of knew that. You just sort of drink what you need, don't you?
Yeah.
The other myths are, reading in dim light ruins your eyesight.
Wow.
Did you believe that?
Yeah. It was just the strain of...
No, the majority of eye experts believe it is unlikely to do any permanent damage, but it may make you squint, blink more, and have trouble focusing. So it doesn't actually do any damage. Shaving makes hair grow back faster and coarser.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
No, it's not true. It has no effect on the thickness or rate of hair growth. Eating turkey makes you drowsy.
Oh. I thought there was that chemical.
It does contain an amino acid called tryptophan that is involved in sleep and mood control, but turkey has no more of the acid than chicken or minced beef. We only use 10% of our brains. So that sounds like quite a lot. But it says that's a myth. Imaging shows that no area of the brain is silent or completely inactive. Hair and fingernails continue to grow after death. Not true. Did you think that was true?
No.
No. She said because the skin retracts. Mobile phones are dangerous in hospitals.
No, actually, that could be more true now.
We're on about now. This is only came out before Christmas. In the last 2 months.
No, but now that more and more hospitals are going towards wireless networking for tablets and electronic pads for the nurses and doctors, and mobile phones could interrupt the network.
Well, it's like saying that mobile phones are dangerous on flights, and I don't see how that works. I was once on a flight and it landed, and somebody started their phone up, and the steward came over the intercom and said, "Please don't start up your mobile phone. The signals can ignite petrol fumes in the fuel tanks and blow us all up."
No, that's nonsense. I was understood to be like if you walk past your computer and your phone's ringing, like it can pick up on the speakers and stuff like that. It can affect the screen.
Yeah.
There's always a worry that it could affect some of the controls in the plane. But it wasn't anything anyone really wanted to test out and say yes or no to. It was easy to say no to.
Yeah. Well, that's the myths. There's tons of myths that you just accept as true, isn't there? There's a great website called Snopes.com, Snopes.com, Snopes. And that is just a huge encyclopedia of urban myths and modern myths, and they've got sections on Disney, Coca-Cola, and all the stuff. It's great for just browsing around. They've got a library, a photograph section, and they check things out. People email things to them. You know when people send emails round?
Yeah.
People send them in and say, "I got this email. Is it true?" And it's a great website for going through and checking things out. There's tons of stuff about Coca-Cola and that it's got no basis, that people, if you leave a baby's tooth in it, it disappears overnight and stuff like that. Anyway, Snopes.com.
I saw 30 Days of Night.
Oh, was that good?
I really liked it, yeah. I mean, the story's just an old sort of vampire movie story. There's some quite nice twists and takes on it. Like the vampires themselves, very sort of European looking in features, but not in the walking around in Edwardian clothes or anything nonsense like that. But they talk their own language.
All right. And the twist is that it takes place in Alaska or something, doesn't it? Where they've got...
Yeah. It's a town in Alaska that's right up on the edge of the pole. So when it comes to winter, they're cut off for 1 month of the year, and it's also the time when it becomes permanently night. So they have night for 30 days, which is obviously great for a vampire. And they come in, all the townspeople being rounded up and killed, and it's just really well done.
It's based on a comic book, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Oh, well, I'll have a look at that. Yeah, I thought it looked interesting when it was out, but I never actually got round to going to see it. Do you want to hear a bit of Unky Dunky?
Always.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
It has.
Here's a bit of Unky Dunky for anybody who doesn't know who he is. He financed his own comedy album, and this is it.
Ladies and gentlemen, comic sensation of the nation, Hunky Dunky the Bologna Slicer. Hunky Dunky, Mortimer, get off that phone and start taking out that garbage. You've been on that phone for an hour and a half, talking to that miserable girlfriend, and you are getting very confused. And payday, you will be even more confused when I send you collect, courtesy, New Jersey Bell. Mortimer, you forget, this is Unky's grocery store, not Mama Bella's telephone store. Bahone made the phone company rich, but it's making me poor. Get off that phone. You've been throwing the bologna long enough. Now start slicing the bologna. She's crying. Mortimer, what did you do? Knock her up? I never touched her. What are you waiting for? Uncle, you got a one-track mind. Mortimer, you got anything better to do with your time? I'm like an old soldier, always ready for action. Can't get lit down. Up, down, up, down. Well, I don't know about the soldier part. Unky, you know a lot about women. How do you figure them out? Mortimer, I am an expert on women. That is to say, I don't figure them out anymore. At my age, I can be very happy just trying them out. Unky, I'm serious. So am I, if I could get away with it. I mean, women are different from men. Mortimer, they most certainly are. They even look different. And they even think different. Women think having babies. Men think making babies. That's why God made them so nice and soft all over, so they could have babies. Their breast is nice and soft, so they could feed the baby. Their belly is nice and soft, so the baby could grow. Their hips are nice and soft, so the baby could be born. I mean, some of them babies got big heads, and it ain't from drinking either. And even their behind is nice and soft. That's in case they accidentally sit on the kid. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I saw the new Torchwood.
I've finished with Torchwood. It's a load of crap. I can't stand the characters. I think the new series is much better than the last one, but I got 2 episodes into it and I just thought it's just crap.
Yeah, I'm watching it for the stories. So seeing now, because I like some of the stories aren't too bad. And it's quite nice to see Leo something.
Well, that was my approach, but I hate all of those characters.
Yeah, and the constant innuendos are getting a bit much now.
Yeah, I don't know. And a lot of on the internet, a lot of people are like saying, "Oh, it's too gay," and and it's got a gay agenda. It's promoting gayness, and that's one side of it that is quite fun. Actually, I know that like they'll have on the first episode, like he met that guy, and you think there's going to be a fight, and they had this big kiss. It's like two men kissing, and that was one side of it that I enjoyed because I thought that was quite sort of subversive, and I knew that, like I know that my mum watches it, and like my stepdad like totally appalled at scenes like that. So I think it's good that it's doing that. But yeah, I just got through the second episode, and I just thought, God, I hate these characters. They're all so boring, or just. And the other thing that I think, it mixes so many genres that it doesn't succeed in any of them for me. So it's a bit of this, a bit of comedy, a bit of CSI, a bit of X-Files. Yeah. So I've given up on it. I've taken it off the record list on the V Plus box. That's how much I've given up on it. But did you see they're making a new X-Files film?
No.
Yeah, I thought you'd be excited. Yeah, I thought you'd be excited by that, you old X-File you. Yeah,
because I've been watching a thing called Supernatural.
That's on over here, but I'd never watched it.
Yeah, that can be a bit light. Plus, it's like two sort of pretty boys running around killing vampires. But I think that's made by some of the old writers and directors.
Well, do you know,
X-Files.
I tell you what I liked. I think it was an X-Files spin-off, Millennium, with Lance Henriksen playing Frank Black. The ones I saw of that were great, and I think that's just come out on DVD, so I'd like to watch them again. But that was really dark, and really, he had like some sort of telepathic link with killers, or with, if he held like the victim's hand, I think he got some. He could
put himself so far into it.
Yeah, and he also had like some super evil killer like chasing him and his family. And that was a great series. I remember watching it a long time ago, and it was really dark and complex. And so I'd like to see that on DVD. I know it's out, so I'd like to try and catch up with that. But the X-Files sort of passed me by. If you go in charity shops over here, it is full of VHS X-Files and VHS Buffys.
I wonder what they've moved on to then, if they pushed that out.
Well, they've probably just bought them all on DVD.
Oh, yeah. I quite like the Doctor Who Christmas special.
Yeah, that was good. It was better than last year's.
Yeah.
No, that was good. I thought that was good. The whole Titanic thing, and I even thought Kylie was all right actually.
Yeah, she's quite good. Looking a bit old, I thought, but
she's just
was that just a character that were making her look?
Well, she just had chemotherapy, hasn't she, for breast cancer?
Oh right, I don't know.
Did you not know? Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry to break it to you like that, Richard. But I think she's in recovery. So, but yeah, I enjoyed that, and the new series will be on in April. So,
look forward to that.
Yeah. All right, Richard. Should we wrap it up?
Indeed.
We'll end with a bit more of Quasar. I'll just give you a bit of background on Alan Michael. So yeah, he was a contactee, 1954. He said, it was early one morning as the sun was rising. I was on my sun deck on top of my art studio in Long Beach, California. I looked up and a great round cloud was forming overhead. The telepathic voice in my consciousness told me to follow the cloud to the desert and I would greet my space comrades. Which he did, and he ended up at a giant rock, the site for interplanetary spacecraft conventions. And then later on he got a philosophy from this, like a space age philosophy, and he formed a little commune and they lived by that and released albums talking about their philosophy. So this last song, it's the last song on the album as well, is called One World Bill of Rights, brackets, or the Space People's Words. And Richard, I will talk to you next month. Oh, by the way, if anyone might be thinking, why the hell is he playing Michael Allen's Quasar from the 70s, is because we need some new music. And I think it's worth playing, but if anybody's got any music they want to send us in, or knows of a band, or knows of anybody that might have something we can use, that would be good. All right then, Richard, I will talk to you next month.
I will look forward to it.
All right, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
This is the World Bill of Rights, the New Covenant. Let each of us share all the world, the kingdom of God, and call one place of our choosing our own, and be free to come and go in the world and stay at any dwelling place accommodating travelers. Let each of us give of ourselves to the extent of our abilities to the One World Company, and in return all things shall be added unto us. Let each of us be judged only by our conscience in God, and let no people judge their fellow beings, but rather take judgment of their own thought and action. Let no person or group hold any authority over another except that people be willingly led by wisdom and true personality. Let the government be of the people, where the people are self-governed, by the people, where the people enjoy perfect freedom, and for the people, where the people give themselves abundant living. Let the government seat be only the storehouse and inventory of the people's products. Let all things be done unto edification, for God is not the author of confusion.
Woman, inspiration of this world, live your life for every man and child, reaching out to every boy and girl, teaching how to calm the fears, cool the anger, wipe those tears away. Woman, flower, blossom of this earth, spread your love vibration, mother of creation, share your blessings, help us in rebirth. We are one.